Hey, everybody, and welcome to Up Your Alley. It's a podcast with two best friends, one of which is me. That's Taylor Edgar. That's my name. And with me, as always, is my best friend, Jake Baggett. Say hi, Jake.
Hey, buddy.
It's a late show.
It's a late show.
I got that from the get-go.
Everybody, it's Taylor Edgar. That's me.
Those are my names. Words coming from my mouth. You're hearing them now through the internet.
It's been a bit since we had a late night episode.
Yeah, late night episode. It's almost 11 o'clock on Wednesday, but it's fun. We've got some silly things to talk about tonight.
Yeah,
if it's your first time listening, welcome to the show. Jake and I are best friends. We've recommended things to each other last week, and then we're coming back this week to talk about them and grade them on a scale of 1 to 3, depending on how much that is up our individual alleys. Right now, I am in the lead, 55 points to Jake's 54 points.
Nice.
But we'll see where that stands at the end of the show. Today, we are going to be talking about Jake's recommendation for me, which was the YouTube video, July 27th, 1978, from the YouTube channel Lasagna Cat. Stop it. Just stop laughing about it already. We're not even there yet. And I recommended for Jake a documentary on Netflix from their Untold documentary series. That was Season 2, Episode 3, The Rise and Fall of And One. But before we get into that, we're going to catch up a little bit. Story of the week, I think, this week, Jacob.
Yeah.
For both of us, just based on the texting back and forth, has been 5 days ago, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom came out.
That's true. Yes,
I've
sir.
been doing that.
Yeah. Basically, that's all I've been doing.
I have to tell you, I'm so happy that I breezed through Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
That is exactly what all my friends did that bought that game.
That game sucks.
By Thursday.
I'm so upset with that game now.
That's unbelievable. Now you hate it?
I have zero interest in going back to that game.
Wow.
After the amazing world. I don't know how Nintendo did this.
Yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom is an amazing game.
Yes. There was something on Twitter, they were talking about it. It's like a lot of next-gen consoles are worried about high fidelity, good graphics, and frames per second.
HD shit.
Where the Switch is worried about physics.
Yeah.
You can do so many crazy things with physics in this game. It's amazing.
And I think something that I've done more recently, and I've noticed I've done mainly on my Switch, is playing indie games.
Yeah.
Not indie games, like, obviously, Tears of the Kingdom's not an indie game. It's
right.
made by Nintendo. It's their property. It's a flagship, now, I guess, series for the Switch.
Of course.
Since they still haven't put out, since they still haven't put out a second Mario game for the Switch. It's, is it their first big sequel for the Switch?
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah.
From Nintendo.
From games that are just on Switch.
Yeah. You're going to want it. Mario and Zelda are their big ones, and we had Odyssey, and that was it. And
they put out Metroid Dread.
Yeah.
But that's not really a direct sequel to another Switch game. But it's the first back-to-back one, so they put out... Because they did that with Mario as well for the 64 and the GameCube. They only put out Mario 64, and they only put out Mario Sunshine on those consoles.
Yeah.
And then I know once I went to Wii, it had like the new Super Mario Brothers, and there were a bunch of those little
and you
spin-offs.
had,
Galaxy
and Galaxy 2.
Uh-huh. But this game is just incredible.
Yeah.
I think...
It's two things. It makes Breath of the Wild, but better.
Yes.
You know? It's just everything is... So, like, the hand now is more streamlined instead of, like, using magnetism or something. It's just straight up grab whatever and move it around.
So this isn't... No spoilers for this because something that we can talk about. Neither of us finished this game.
Yeah.
I've done one temple.
I did one temple yesterday.
Which one did you do?
The Rito one. The birds.
The wind.
Yes.
Okay, so that's... They kind of did the same thing like they did with Breath of the Wild, where they kind of...
Gave
you a gentle push, be like, maybe go here first.
Yeah, because I went like every direction and got my ass whipped because I just went the wrong way every single time.
I was 20 hours into this game, I think, at least, and then I texted you, and then you said you spent all of your time in the chasm, which is something that they tell you about from the get-go. They're like, go to the chasm. I'm like, I'll get to that later. And then I went there. It's a whole nother fucking world.
Yeah, and it's amazing. It's so pretty down there, and it's so much fun to explore.
They had something like that in Skyrim, where there was like a whole world underneath Skyrim as well.
Well, it was like in Elden Ring. Elden Ring did it too.
I didn't play through Elden Ring.
Oh yeah. Elden Ring was great because it's got that cool overworld, and then you find an elevator and it goes down, and it's like a brand new world underneath that looks like a night sky. How deep you go and you look up, but it's
crazy.
just like crystals and stuff.
Yeah, I'll get around to that when I'm done playing Tears of the Kingdom,
And
which
it's
will
like-
be never.
And it's like Tears of the Kingdom saw that and it's like, oh, you can go down? Well, we can go up as well, motherfuckers.
But with like the indie games and stuff, like for Switch, I love playing Untitled Goose Game.
Mm-hmm.
There's another game that I told you about called Windbound, I think, that I played for a couple hours.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's-
like the Wind Waker.
yeah, kind of Wind Waker, kind of Moana.
Uh-huh.
And then, what's the one I just... Dredge, which we both played as well.
Yes, Dredge was amazing.
They all have, I would say, similar art styles where it's just it's minimalistic.
It's like cell shading without the hard black outlines.
It's not God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, or even Star Wars Jedi Survivor,
Yeah.
where it's trying to make it look as realistic as possible.
Yeah, it's got a good cartoon
And
vibe
I think
to
it does so much more with the gameplay. There was someone on Reddit that I think summed it up perfectly, and I was trying to think of how to make this work, and this dude just said somehow Nintendo found a way to give us all what we wanted, which was a chance to play Breath of the Wild for the first time again. And I was like, yeah, that's what they did.
It's something that the other point was this is the only other direct sequel. Like they had Zelda and Adventures of Link, and then they had Ocarina of Time, and then Majora's Mask.
Yeah.
And like those two games are like Majora's Mask to me is just so much better than Ocarina of Time.
We've talked about this. You're wrong.
Yes, but what they did
It's
was
cute, but
they
you're
used the same
Engine.
and same assets and things, and they just built a different game mechanic around it.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. They did the same exact thing with Breath of the Wild, and I love it.
But what I like about
Tears
this,
of the Kingdom.
unlike Majora's Mask, it's same assets. Like a lot of the NPCs look the same, and a lot, that was obviously. I mean, the turnaround on that game, I think, was only like
A year and a half, maybe.
It was under 2 years for sure. And Breath of the Wild came out 6 years ago.
Yeah.
But that was Majora's Mask took place in the parallel universe.
Yeah.
So it was Hyrule, but it was not. This is the same shit. You run into the same people. They're like, oh hey, and
And they're like, "Hey, Link, welcome back.
we know you.
You got Metroided at the beginning. I heard they sucked all your hearts out and took your arm. That's crazy, dog. Well,
Yeah.
I guess you get back to it."
But I think it's incredible what they're doing with this game. I'm staying off of Twitch just because people are already speedrunning it.
Yeah.
I wonder. Let me just pull up speedrunning, like what the world record is. Right
Oh my
now.
God, you're gonna ruin it for yourself.
No, just what the world record is. I don't
Okay.
care about that.
I looked up one thing because there was something that I wanted. I want the shrine center, because shrines are what I like
Still haven't
doing.
gotten that. Yeah.
I looked up how to get it because I was getting frustrated being 20 hours in and still not having
knowing
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I looked it up and now I got it, and now back to just running around doing shrines.
I will say what I liked about it. Compare the two games that I could compare it to that I've played recently were God of War Ragnarok and Star Wars Jedi Survivor, because both of those games as well were visually and graphically in the same vein as Tears of the Kingdom, that it was a direct sequel, and it wasn't like a sequel that they do in video games where like, oh, this looks completely different.
Yeah.
Gameplay's pretty much the same. They add on some, just nice updates. Some things are a little bit easier. Menus are a little bit better.
Yeah.
A little more freedom to go around. But I think this one is the best out of those three.
Are you fumbling with the controls a lot?
I always fumble with the controls.
I fumble with the controls all the time.
The controls that mess me up the most is when I go from my Switch to my PlayStation, just because it's just where BA and X and circle are flipped. So
That's true. So accept and decline are now decline and accept.
If you're looking at it like north, south, east, west, east is go forward in Nintendo, and south is go forward in PlayStation. Fucks me up in Stardew Valley all the time. I've been accidentally hoeing up plants on Stardew Valley when I switch back and forth between the two. But I listened to, and people should go back and listen to this too. Back in January, we did a year in preview where we talked about things that were coming out.
Yeah.
I had this listed for my most anticipated game of the year.
Yeah.
That was spot
I think
on.
both of us was.
Nope, you didn't say that.
What did I say?
I know, I'm right, and you're wrong now.
What did I say?
You said Hades 2 or
yes.
Resident Evil 4.
Yes, I was right on both accounts.
So I wanna
Hades
see
2
where-
isn't out yet.
No, where do you put this compared to Resident Evil 4?
I'm going to put so much more time in Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes.
It's going to be hard to compare them together. I guess
Yeah.
we could do a roundup at the end of the year. What do you think?
Oh yeah, we're going to definitely do that.
Okay, and
But
then
as far as your initial gameplay in this, which one do you think lived up to the hype the most? Because I have no frame of reference for Resident Evil 4. That's why I'm just getting your.
Resident Evil 4 is like, it's like almost a completely new game compared to Resident Evil. What was amazing about that game doesn't ask you to play it for hundreds of hours.
Yeah.
So I don't want to put that much credence into how much time I'm putting into it. That would say that I enjoy this game more.
Yeah.
Right now, Resident Evil is very impactful to me, where Tears of the Kingdom is just very interesting, and I keep wanting to put more into it. So, and as far as gameplay goes, I think Zelda wins because it's so unique now.
Would you say that there's some parallel to be drawn between original Resident Evil 4 and the remake, as with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, where it's just like everything's a little bit better?
See, that's the fun comparison that I'm making is Tears of the Kingdom to Breath of the Wild feels like a natural progression,
right? Where
Resident Evil to Resident Evil Remake, it feels like a reimagining more than it does a
Gotcha.
This is the stuff that will step up. This will make it better. And they're like, no, we'll make it completely different.
Yeah.
And it's still Resident Evil 4, but it is a brand new experience for everybody.
Huh. Yeah, I'm jazzed. I'm really excited.
Yeah, I agree. It's awesome.
Everything that's going on.
What's fun, what I love big time is I play with my roommate.
Yeah.
And like one of us is playing on TV, the other one's playing with it in their
handheld. Yeah.
And we'll do the same shrine, and he'll have a completely different way of
Yeah.
solving it than I do.
That's such a good feeling in this game. Is there's so many times already that I've done things, and I'm just like, I'm pretty sure that's not the way you were meant to do that.
That's something else because it's like you're solving things with unintended gameplay,
right?
Which is intended gameplay.
Exactly.
They knew that you were going to do that.
Yeah.
So it's like really weird. It's very clever. I love it. It's very fun.
And I will say, anytime that there's a puzzle in it, or something you have to figure out, everything seems very fair to the point where after you figure it out, it's really, you feel good about yourself, or you're like, oh, I was just being stupid.
Yeah.
Nothing seems cheap. Well, I mean, I've died a lot.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
But when
it's a really hard game.
It feels great that when you look at something and it clicks super fast. And
like, oh,
it
shit,
might be like unorthodox, but you're like, oh my God, like I could chop down 10 trees and then make a bridge over this thing.
Yeah.
And
but then they're just like, oh no, you could have just done that. And
yeah.
Like, oh,
and then my roommate's like, you could just rocket jump over it. I was like, that's amazing.
I think the first night that I was playing, I jumping back into this version of Hyrule, just had a real hit of nostalgia. It made me remember what a great game Breath of the Wild was, and how different it was than almost any other game that I had ever played up to that point. And just going to see all the old sites and seeing how they've changed slightly.
Yeah.
I went to the big lake, and you're just like, oh yeah, there's a lake. And then I just saw from far away that there's a giant dragon on the bridge, and I'm just like, nope.
Yeah, I'm not touching any
walk
of these
other
dragons.
way.
I do want to talk about one spoiler.
Oh,
it's not a spoiler. It's a thing.
Don't spoil it for me.
Have you been to Hateno Village yet?
Is that the one with the dye shop?
That's the one. No, that's Kakariko.
Okay.
No. You're right.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. That's the place where when Breath of the Wild, you bought a house.
Yeah.
And have you been to your house yet?
No. I just breezed right
went
through.
to my house.
Now I know what I'm doing as soon as this is over.
We'll talk about it after the pod.
I'll just go upstairs and do it. I'll kick you right out of here.
I have a theory.
Oh, we're going fan theories again?
Yeah, you got to check out what's in the house, and then we'll talk about it.
That's a bonus recommendation for everyone. If you haven't played Tears of the Kingdom, and if you don't want to hear Tears of the Kingdom talk, I would say skip the first 5 or 6 minutes of this podcast for the foreseeable future. Because, like we've said before, this podcast is also just for Jake and I to catch up with each other.
Just talking.
And it will be mostly Tears of the Kingdom from here on out.
Probably.
Nintendo did it. They're fantastic.
Yep, it's
congratulations. And I told you once something about this game. I paid the same amount of money for Jedi Survivor as I did for this game, $70. And if they had given me 10 hours with Tears of the Kingdom, and then something just popped up on my screen and was like, hey, it's actually $200, it would have been the Futurama meme of shut up and take my money. I would have paid, if they had said this only comes with its own system and it's $300, I probably would have paid that. Because I think like this is worth, for the amount of money that it cost me and how much fun I've had just in the past week.
Yeah.
I mean, $70, that's dinner for two at Outback Steakhouse. What would you rather have? Tears of the Kingdom or an overcooked sirloin?
This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Right now, I am on the opposite side.
Really?
I think they should be paying us to play games. I do not like.
Well, that's the whole point of this
I
podcast,
don't
Jake.
wanna
Is if
pay.
we get enough people to listen to it, then they'll start
sending
giving
games.
us free
Indie
things.
people could send us their games and we'll talk about them.
Absolutely.
Oh my god,
Which
day.
is what,
Oh
dear
my
listener-
god, that's my dream.
Dear listener, now it's your. Jake and I want to do stuff for free.
Yeah.
So here's something for free.
I love
you
playing
can do.
indie games.
You could follow us on YouTube. You could follow us on Instagram, and you could tell your friends about the show, and you could leave a review and subscribe and like everything and stars and all that internet jargon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do all that internet jargon.
Do all that stuff and tell friends because, like we talked about in the Mr. Beast episode that's been deleted because I gave this secret hack. There's free money. The internet is a free money machine. Did you see that free TV startup?
No.
There's
What are you
some
talking
company.
about?
It's called like MindTelly or something like that, and it's a startup. And their whole business model is they're going to give you a free 55-inch TV.
Oh my god, yes, I did see this.
But the
With
bottom of it has
ad
a
ticker on it.
Yeah, it's got like a stock market
Oh
ticker.
my
and
God.
It's like the lower
How
sixth of CNN and stuff where there's a ticker.
Fucking insane is that? Are
It's
you
an
into
interesting-
that?
No, it's an interesting
I
business
think it
model,
is
though.
horrid. This is the most bullshit cyberpunk thing. Somebody looked
Right.
at cyberpunk and they saw the worst aspects of
Yes.
it, and they're like, I can invent that.
Yeah.
I can create that
Yeah,
thing
we
that
can do that.
everybody fucking hates.
We could do that shitty thing.
That's my god. I hate it.
Yeah.
There's
But
cool
also
stuff.
free TV.
You can have robot eyes, and
If
somebody looks at that and they're like, impossible. And then they're like, they see these stupid televisions. They're like,
With just built-in ads.
That you just like, if you want to keep watching, you got to smoke a cigarette. And they're like, I can make that. I can make that happen.
But yeah, so yeah, there's free money on the internet.
Ah.
If enough people listen to this, Jake and I get free money, and then we can tell you about cool stuff.
Yeah.
And we'll give you some money.
I guess we could duct tape the bottom of
We'll give you some money.
the TV so that you don't have to see it.
Someone's going to jailbreak that within, the first week of it
If
being
that
on the
happens,
market.
then I am on board.
Yeah.
I need some pirates to help me
That's
with
kind
this
of why
thing.
I was interested in it. I was like, how do they do this?
Yeah.
Like, there's got to be a way
And
to either, like, they must have, like, a kill switch for the TV that if the ad sensor isn't working properly.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why you can't just hang a curtain over it.
Yeah.
And just use it like a regular TV. Just take, like, blackout curtain
duct
and just
tape
wrap it
right
around
on
the
bottom.
Yeah.
And then just be like, okay.
Yeah.
And they probably have something. They're going to be watching you.
There's going to be a light sensor or a camera or
They're going
something.
to watch you. They're going to see how much Cinemax Emmanuel in space that I watch, and they're like,
the
"Do you
fuck?
want some softcore porn, Jacob?" And I'm like, "You got to stop sending me these things on the bottom of it."
Yeah, the ad for the new Kia is kind of throwing off the vibe for everything. All right, so let's get into the meat of the show. That was a longer intro than normal, but
Tears of the Kingdom, dog.
Tears of the Kingdom, man.
We still have other things to talk about, but Tears of the
We
Kingdom's
do.
gonna take it up.
Let's talk about my thing first.
Yeah.
To
me?
Yeah, the thing I recommended for
Oh,
you
okay.
first. So this is a documentary on Netflix. This came out end of last year. This was August of last year, and it was from Untold. Like I said, ESPN's basically just trying to do 30 for 30, which is an ESPN documentary series.
It's just sports documentaries.
Yeah, and so this was called Untold: The Rise and Fall of And One. So And One was a sports brand, which I'm sure most people know, came about got really popular in the late 90s through the 2000s, and this was kind of the guys that started the company, which were three guys, Jay, Seth, and Tom, and they were trying to make a athletic brand, specifically a basketball brand. And then they started a tour with street basketball, which was kind of like halfway between street ball and the Harlem Globetrotters. And they
I
would
knew
like,
you were going to bring up the Harlem Globetrotters.
they brought up Harlem Globetrotters in the documentary.
I knew it was just a matter of time.
You think we're going to have a conversation about people doing special basketball fake-out fun moves and not bring up the Harlem Globetrotters?
Yeah. They brought out a ladder
You're
at some
lucky I'm
point.
not bringing up Harlem Globetrotters and Scooby-Doo, because that's how I knew them first.
Yeah.
When they were coming to Sarasota, Florida, I was like, the guys from Scooby-Doo, they're here?
I'm pretty sure that's all of us.
That's
all
awesome.
of our generations.
And then later it was Futurama, the Harlem Globetrotters. So it just kind of shows their startup of the company and the downfall of the company and kind of some of the people that got caught up in it, especially the street ballers,
Yeah.
as they were called. That kind of, some of them feel happy that they did this sort of thing. Some of them, now that the company's done, more or less done. I mean,
Yeah.
they're in name only. The guys that started it are done with it.
Yeah.
And the tour is over. They feel kind of,
Some unknown company now owns the brand.
some
and
generic,
one-
you know, yay capitalism. All companies are the same. same-sex companies run everything.
One of those, yeah.
Yeah. So I recommended this to you for a couple reasons. One, I like documentaries. I'm still trying to find a businessy thing that you like.
Yeah.
Because I know you hate businessy things, and I love businessy things.
Right.
And I thought this was good because it's something that I know you had a memory of. You weren't really into it. I didn't think like, oh, Jake.
I remember the T-shirts. I remember the shoes.
Yeah, it wasn't one of those things like in 26 episodes of this podcast we forgot to bring up that how hard Jake hoops.
me and the b-ball.
Yeah, but I just thought it was an interesting thing, and it's kind of like a weird like anecdote in the history of like clothing and also sports and culture, where this one thing can kind of rise up.
That was the thing that got me too, was that it was a cultural thing.
Yes.
You know, if you were into basketball, there was people that were wearing and one stuff.
Even if you didn't, you know, you see that they have the classic thing of like the grayed out silhouette guy with his shirt off. You saw those shirts everywhere.
Yeah.
You sit behind math class and some kid has that T-shirt.
Yeah, you're going to see it, you know. So we were subjected to it. It's funny that you're still looking for something businessy for me.
Yeah, you're trying to look something weird and Japanese for me.
Guess what part of this I hated so much?
The part where the guys got taken advantage of? And
But where the three white guys are talking about how great they are for coming up with this cool idea. Me and my other rich-ass fucking asshole friends from college got together, and we were like, you're such a rich asshole that plays basketball. Why don't we make money doing this? Of course, we have so much money that we just sat down and started making money off of it.
Yes, it did have a little bit, but... Again, I'm not recommending those guys.
I know.
I'm recommending this documentary because it does paint them in kind of a shitty light, especially
once
at
it starts picking up, and there's like, this is when the brand popped off.
At least two of them. One of the guys,
how...
Tom, I think, was the guy that ended up doing most of the slogans and stuff like that. And that guy, he's on the spectrum. Like,
he seems like a fine guy. Where he's like,
he's the most soft spoken. He's the least of just full on business.
He's completely
business bro.
He's obviously just very interested in basketball and basketball culture.
Yeah,
and like that's fine. He's still a rich asshole, so I'm not going to forget that.
But he's the one that they kind of paint a sympathic light in. And then the other
I
two,
still
don't
think so.
Well, I mean,
I get what you're saying, but it picks up when like they start trying to get into the shoe business. They bank everything on this up and coming
Stephon Marbury
basketball talent.
So
he goes for a slam dunk and then breaks his fucking foot.
It's one of the greatest. Were you familiar with that story?
No.
Okay, so people that don't know is 1996. They were trying to make the move from just being like a t-shirt company to we're going to make shoes. We want to compete with
basketball shoes.
We're with Converse, Adidas, with Nike.
Yeah,
we want to be right up there. And so they find a rookie, Stephon Marbury, and they're like, "Oh, he's going to be our guy." Do this whole ad campaign, and basically the whole ad campaign was like, "Oh, he moves so fast," and it's a term in basketball is if you trip someone up and deke them out so they go one way, you go the other way. You break their ankles.
Break the ankles.
And Stephon Marbury in his first game breaks his ankle and he's out for the foreseeable future.
The first time that they get their shoes out there, the guy breaks his foot on the shoes.
It's similar to billing the Titanic as the unsinkable ship in that level of irony.
Yes, it was so... it was jaw-dropping. I could not believe that happened.
I knew you'd like that little aspect of it.
Yeah, and so I was hooked right then and there.
Yeah.
Because how do you recover from something like that?
Yeah.
It was like, we gave this guy shoes, and then those shoes broke his foot. And now we got to do something.
Not a no-name guy either. He was touted he was going to be the next
up
big
and
thing.
Coming, yeah. And now that he's like, I can't play anymore because of your shoes.
Because of your stupid fucking shoes.
And they were like, oh, no. So right then I was like, I have to know how this goes. And then that's when they brought up, the street ball.
Right.
And now I'm absolutely crazy about this documentary because
these
people are so talented and so amazing. And I love how, some people are as young as 18, playing against people that are 35, 40, and it's just about showing off tricks, faking people out, doing these crazy moves, making these awesome shots, and everybody just going fucking crazy. And just seeing the potential in that as a business is so smart because now we're not trying to It's just a market that hasn't been, addressed.
Right.
So they were like, that's perfect. That's us, know. And it's, it's very punk rock of them to be like these people that people don't even recognize doing amazing basketball.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to sell shoes to them specifically. And now we got them.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing aspect of it too.
So did you do I was texting you the other night and I gave you a sneaky second rec. Did you?
No.
You didn't?
No.
All right, so sneaky second rec was Air.
No.
Starring and directed by Ben Affleck, which if you're playing along at home, Ben Affleck is the greatest actor of all time. One of the greatest directors.
You're lucky I stopped Tears of the Kingdom to play and one for a little bit.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So in Air, if you don't know, Air is it's the story of Nike when they signed Michael Jordan, and basically it's kind of the opposite of this because it's definitely aggrandizing the Nike brass and the people that came up with it. They never even show Michael Jordan. Like,
sure.
his mom's a big part in this. Like, his mom's a big part in Michael Jordan's life. And it's definitely something that they're like, oh, we're such, good people because we found this kid and we're working hard to make him. And they really did change the whole thing of an athlete getting a percentage of the sales of the shoe, like their likeness rights, their name, everything like that, which is pretty standard across the board, especially for basketball, because a lot of people have their own shoe. And it really painted them as, oh, aren't we the good guys?
Yeah.
And the N1 documentary was just like, these guys are, well-intentioned.
Yeah.
You could argue that, but...
that's the other aspect.
You could argue it, but...
It's what makes me start enjoying the documentary. It's because they create the team.
Yes.
The traveling team of the best street ball players that they could find.
I was afraid I was going to lose you with the painting them as scrappy up-and-coming businessmen. Because I know you. Hated that in The Big Short.
Oh my god! I met this. I was in Dartmouth College, and I was talking with my friend Vanderbilt, and we were like, "Sure, out here at the basketball playing."
You're not far off.
Off the key, I say, and I jump, and then down it goes. And we said, "And one." That's our victory speech when we make one more goal.
They did have that part where it's just like, "Wait, what did you say?"
Yeah.
Oh, that's what we're gonna.
Fuck yeah! So that shit. Once they got away from them, and they're like, this is the street ball team, this is what really took off for And One, is the mixtapes of the street ball maneuvers.
Yeah, and they kind of focused on one kid, the professor, who was an 18-year-old kid.
The professor was the winner of the reality show that they actually had, which that's a very interesting thing. I wish I knew about that. When I was a kid, I'd probably hate it. But if I was this age now, I would definitely watch it and probably have a great time with it. But they also, I can't remember that dude's name, but one of the street ballers.
Hot Sauce?
Yeah, Hot Sauce. He was like the biggest one. Mm-hmm. He was the name grabber.
And there was some depravity going on those tour buses.
So, like, yes, right? Yeah. And it was crazy.
Like rock stars. It was great.
Yeah. Shane was talking, and Shane's one of my favorite because that guy's very outspoken about how they really fucked over everybody.
Yeah, that was kind of sad at the end. He was like, I went up to one of the owners of the company and said, I need something.
He's like, I just wanted $16,000 contract now. I'm having $13,000 contract. I want a $16,000 contract so I can take my kid to school. And they're like, we can't help you.
Yeah.
Can't help you.
And then the guy had that politician-y answer.
And then they went back to it.
He's like, I don't remember.
Yeah. And if I did do that, that's very, very sad. You son of a bitch. But Shane was talking, and he was like, I had this dude come up to me, and he was like, man, I got nothing for you to sign. Can you sign my wife's titty? And he's like, you want me to sign your wife's titty? That's so funny.
Yeah.
It
has that like kind of Motley Crue on tour in the 80s vibe where it's just like the tour bus comes up.
They got all the way to Madison Square Garden.
Which is such a sweet moment in the documentary when these guys are just like...
And that's when they're talking about it's like, we didn't make it to the NBA.
Right.
But we
playing
made
the Garden.
it. Yeah, we made it.
It's where the Knicks play. They're using the Knicks locker room. Yeah. Doing everything like that.
That's the coolest thing that And One did. That's so great to see talent and bring it up and nurture it.
Yeah.
And then not pay it is so rude and mean, and I'm happy that the documentary went that direction.
Yes.
They're like, this is why they fell down. It's because they were assholes to these people.
It's a documentary that definitely wasn't made by AND1, and
Yeah.
the guys don't own the company anymore.
Yeah,
so
they don't have a stake in.
I would
what
say
they
this
think about
documentary
it.
probably wouldn't get made if they were still CEO of the company. And
It would have been propagandized as shit.
Yeah.
where they're like, these horrid ball players got so mad about our generosity.
exactly. And they had the one thing on that where they painted Nike as the bad guys because Nike puts out a commercial that is very similar to AND1.
Yeah, and that
for the
commercial,
street ball.
I totally remember that commercial.
Yeah, with just the boom.
Yeah, they make a song out of the dribbling and the skirt of
The what now?
skirt.
The
That's the
skirt,
sound that
yeah.
it makes when you change your direction really fast in sneakers.
Did you ever try to do that on purpose in gym class?
All the time.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? As soon as I found out that you can leave streaks, I was like leaving streaks all over the place.
Janitor hated you.
I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah, look what I can do. That was the coolest thing in the world. If you ever played basketball in middle school,
Yeah.
and you make that squeak,
Middle
it's like,
school, you
that's
like
because I'm so fast. That's why it squeaked.
It's like, because I was turning around super duper fast.
You guys hear that squeak? I'm very fast.
So I was, once the foot broke, I was into it.
Yeah.
Because now, wow, what is this? And then their redemption is so moving and touching that I wish that they paid these people properly.
Yeah.
They would have been an unstoppable force if they just kept nurturing this side of basketball that people don't advertise as much.
And that's one thing that they do talk about is a lot of the aspects from the street ball. They show some of the more modern players that have a lot of the.
Yeah.
They did what I really think the documentary does a good job of giving the AND1 players credit for.
Yeah.
Because it is the rise and fall of AND1 is the title, but it's also not just the brand; it's the team
We're giving
and also
credence
that
to the
culture as well.
The team,
And it shows that how the more modern NBA players, like they
Yeah.
focus a lot on people like Steph Curry and Anthony Davis, that they have kind of that street ball.
NBA is
flair.
becoming more of an amalgam of
Yes.
the professional style and this new street style.
And that happens with music, and it happens with most
Yeah.
other forms of art. When there's this kind of a disruptive new way of doing things,
Yeah.
other people will
you
adopt
have
it.
no choice. Yeah, when there's something great about it, you're going
Right.
to take it. You know,
Yeah.
subconsciously or no, if it's better, you have to.
Yeah.
you know, and it was just simply better.
They're putting out a better product.
Yeah, it
At
was-
one point, like the NBA was losing market share to them, and NBA players were coming up to the AND1 guys and being like, "Oh my God, it's you!" And it's like, "Oh, dude, you're in the NBA." But
Yeah.
they're happy to see
Yeah.
the AND1 guys.
It was
They really had like a
the
traveling,
thing that you know about
traveling
me
band
about
Yeah.
sports is I love the romance. I love the heart
Mm-hmm.
of it, and like any sports story, when it's just a very sweet story about these people that deserve the recognition for their extreme talent.
Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So 3 points.
3 points.
Easily.
Nice.
Yeah.
I got you with business and basketball with 3 points.
Fuck those rich white dudes.
Yeah.
I'm very happy that the documentary was like, so these guys were assholes after, like, that's the big twist. It's like, they were assholes.
It's one of those things where, like, I was never the guy that wore the AND1 shirts, and the guys that wore the AND1 shirts weren't super nice to me in middle school. And so when it's like the guys that made those shirts were dicks, you're like, I knew it. I knew these guys were dicks. I've been saying that since 1998. And one shirts are for dickheads.
They were like, we were in college. I was making a business.
Although I will say, I saw some of the shirts and I was like, I'm going to check those out on eBay. That might be kind of fun to get an old AND1 shirt.
Those stupid, get the dumb slogans that they have. It's like, you missed the bus because you just got school.
I don't know what that means.
I love it so much.
All right, so I'll take a 3 on that. I'm very surprised and happy with a 3.
It was great.
I thought you were going to be very more.
Honestly, when it popped off, I could not wait to hear.
And it's a
everything
quick
that
little
happened.
documentary. And I will say, people should check out a couple more of these Untold ones.
I might actually.
Let me see just real quick if I can pick out another one for you. But
There was I can't remember the teaser. There was like some sports player that did a bad thing.
there's a great one called Race of the Century. If you want the most yuppiest of sports,
That's about white people.
It's about the America's Cup yacht racing.
I think yes.
Like this super.
So it is about white people.
Yeah, well, it's about the Australian.
I was about to say I just
Australian
made a very
yacht racing
funny
team.
joke and you didn't laugh.
No, yeah, you're right. You're not wrong. And then there's another
I'm
one.
not watching that.
There's a two-parter about Manti Te'o, which I told you about a little bit last week. The linebacker that got catfished.
Oh yes.
It
Oh
got
yes.
nationally
Oh
embarrassed.
yes.
And
Oh
then
yes. I
there
do
was-
have to watch that.
There's one about an NBA referee whose name I forget.
That was
a-
the teaser one.
gambling scandal.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting
And
to
that
me as well.
that one has ramifications now. Like even now with the playoffs and stuff, that there's always a constant thing. It's like NBA's rigged.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Of course.
which
How
what are
do
you
you
gonna do?
not? Yeah. I'm sorry. If I'm a ref,
If
if somebody's
someone's-
like $50,000, if they were just like, I will, you want some of this
Yeah.
grilled cheese sandwich?
I had an old boss that used to tell me if people are making money somewhere, someone's going to try to find a way to make a little more.
Yeah. Easy.
Like, it's
That's-
just it's human nature.
It's and then what are you gonna do? He's like, did you take money from this?
Yep.
No. He's like, he gave me a $50,000 gift. We're friends.
Yeah. And I'm on the Supreme Court, and I'm just hanging out with this guy. And he bought my mom a house.
He bought my great
Don't worry about this billionaire that I'm friends with and take your. We don't have to go to
my
politics.
grandnephew.
Google it. Let's go to something that makes.
Gave him $130,000.
Let's go
Oh
to
my
Jake's
God.
recommendation for me,
Yeah, boy.
which he gave me specific instructions not to research at all before I watch it.
My favorite thing is I took an hour of your time away from Tears of the Kingdom,
Jake,
to make you watch Lasagna Cat.
So Lasagna Cat is a YouTube series which I did not know. I will say this: I stopped this halfway through and did research on what Lasagna Cat was.
That kind of makes
So-
sense why you would do that.
Lasagna Cat is a YouTube series, and what they do is they open up everything with a
sketch.
based
on
no, not
the
even a
comic.
sketch. It's just a live action reenactment of a Garfield.
Yes, of a Garfield comic strip.
And then it does a little skit afterwards. Some of
Yeah.
these are 2 minutes long, some are 5 minutes long. This one's an hour long.
This was an hour.
This is the
long.
one called July 27th, 1978. That's a reference to the day that the strip that they're doing
Yes.
came out. That's kind of like how they're all done. And I watched a couple more of these.
Nice.
So I don't know.
I'll tell you why.
Start with that
wanted
because
you
I don't
to do it.
I don't know where to start, but I know where I want to finish.
This is something I was talking to my friends about. This, having the podcast coming up, and I'll give credit to Richie. He was the one that said you should make Taylor watch Lasagna Cat.
Fuck Richie.
And we all laughed because Lasagna. I am a more online being than you are.
That's fair.
I go to. I've been to a lot more weird websites and
Which
stuff.
is nothing to say about my enjoyment of these things. It
Yeah.
just has to do with my
It's-
desire to go out and find new things.
Yeah, it's my culture
Yeah.
that this is where a lot of my jokes
Dork.
come
yeah.
from. Dorky stuff.
Yeah.
This Lasagna Cat. Like I don't know.
I
if
wear
you,
and one t-shirts
do
and
you
bully
know,
people.
Like
I'm so cool.
you don't. Do you know Garfield minus Garfield like that?
Yes, I've seen Garfield minus Garfield, and then there was this thread on Reddit where it was like this really dark Lovecraftian Garfield series of comics, and I know that the
And
internet
then,
has a weird
like
thing
there's
with
a comic
Garfield.
strip where Garfield. The last panel is always Garfield flying out of a window. Like,
Okay.
and that one's a pretty good one.
Yeah,
Garfield is a
Garfield's-
joke.
he's
online.
memeable, and I think-
Jim Davis himself is like, I love it. Like they're so funny. I love seeing them. And
I think a lot of that comes from his. It's one of those things where someone's that big in pop culture when people are young, and I think it's people our age and younger that are doing most of the weird content on the internet, and it's just something that everyone has a cultural touchstone like Garfield, and then it's how the fuck can we make Garfield weird?
Yeah.
And that's where the internet does amazing things.
Yes. And that's
So-
something I've known Lasagna Cat before I had this friend group.
Yeah.
It was something that when you were online on the forums that I was when I was young, somebody would post this and they would go, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
And then you watch Lasagna Cat. This one, the skit afterwards was it was made as a Final Fantasy VII fight. Mm-hmm. So, like, one of the fight moves that the boss did was Mondays, and you would see the calendar pop up, and all the Mondays on the calendar take off and strike them. And you're like, this is very funny. I am enjoying myself.
So-
And then Chris, years later, without even knowing that I knew Lasagna Cat, sent it to me. And sent me this one, the hour-long one.
Yeah.
And I watched it because I was like, Lasagna Cat, I haven't seen that in years.
So one of the
it
things
was
that
so
all
good.
of them do, from what I can tell, is the sketch is always based around a song.
a song?
Yeah,
I
they're
never
all,
caught on to that, but yes, that
each
makes
one's
perfect sense.
based around a different song. Like I watched another one that was it had a Prince song in it. Another one had Firestarter by Prodigy was in the background. This one has the entire score of the film Kundun by Philip Glass.
It's amazing.
I played that score in a orchestra thing.
Oh,
It was
cool.
like it was highlights from that.
That's also why I
So
recommended it to you. I knew you would.
Sure, that's fucking right. You notice that I ripped that second chair bassoon part to highlights from Kundun.
And you're telling me and one people really bullied you when you were a kid?
That hurt me on so many levels. Second chair bassoon is not the great pickup line that you would think it was.
Oh, I'm
Anyway.
coughing now.
So this is a single shot for an hour
Yeah.
of a guy, an actor. It's Drew Barrymore's brother.
Oh, that's amazing.
Or half brother, something like that. And
He's like a philosopher.
I had to stop several times. And I will tell you this. I watched this, and then I listened to it twice.
That's amazing. I'm so happy.
He goes on. So this strip he refers to as the pipe strip.
The pipe strip.
And it's a 3-panel thing. It's John sitting there saying, "Where
Where's
could
my
my pipe be?" And then Garfield smoking the pipe, and he screams Garfield.
Yeah.
There's no joke there.
That's the joke.
It's not a joke.
It's the perfect joke.
So what these people on the internet did, this guy basically breaks down the strip
Yeah. For an hour.
for an hour, one take, direct to camera, while the soundtrack to Kundun plays in the background. And it goes off on, it has Da Vinci Code vibes. It talks about the tobacco industry and what the pipe represents.
Yeah.
There's talks about the Pythagorean ratios of John's arm to the whole panel to interdimensional shit.
That was my favorite when they're like, you could really just make any of these panels.
And then at one point he talks about some girl in a market in a third world country that was drawing Garfield strips, and she was drawing Tomorrow's strip. That day he pulls a note out of his pocket and he says, like, "The cat has your pipe," as some weird existential declaration that should resonate cosmically with everyone, that the cat has your pipe.
The cat has your pipe. He explains it for an hour why that
This is an hour of one take.
This is what
This is insanity.
I lost my mind to, laughing so hard. It's so damn funny.
I will say this. I don't think it's funny.
Yeah.
I think it might be one of the most captivating things I've ever seen in my entire life.
That's exactly what Lasagna Cat is.
No.
Yeah.
That's what this is. The rest of Lasagna Cat, there's one where Lady Gaga's playing in the background and Odie has a bag over his head. Some of these are just very silly, one-off, almost like Homestar Running little jokes.
Sure.
This is insanity.
Yeah.
This is insanity.
Did you see?
This?
Did you watch the last one that he posted?
No.
Okay.
I've watched.
The
I skipped
4-hour
around
one.
and I did this. No, I'm not. I can't do
So
that, Jacob.
there was a time where he posted a video where he just kept saying, "Call this number." He's like, "Call this number." And when you call the number, it says, what's your gender, what's your age, how many sexual partners have you had, and then the 4-hour video is nothing but you hear a doorbell, and John goes, "Who is it?" And he opens the door, and it's a mannequin, and he goes, "My name is Mike. I'm a male, 37. I've had 2 sexual partners." And then you hear the doorbell again. John goes, "Who is it?" And he's like, "My name's Martha, 25. I had 4 sexual partners." And you hear the doorbell again for 4 hours. So it's amazing.
This is absurdism.
Yes.
And I can't speak to the greater mythos of Lasagna Cat.
Yes.
I will just speak to this. This is the best word for it is it's insane.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
That's absurd. That was a good word for it.
There's nothing logical. But I couldn't stop watching it. And like I said, I listened to it just like with my headphones on when I was doing something at work. And it's kind of like a thing where I understand how people go crazy a little bit, like in a weird way.
Yeah, you can tell.
Like, I get it.
This guy is
amazing actor.
He's seen through the looking glass a little bit, you know.
If you release this in theaters, this guy should have gotten an Oscar.
See?
It was one shot, and it was fantastic.
Yeah.
The production value when it has shit going on in the background behind it. I mean, everyone should watch this. Take an hour out of playing Tears of the Kingdom and watch this if you haven't already.
It's perfect internet culture. It's a very worthy internet culture.
Now, that being said, as far as it being up my alley,
yeah,
which is how we're supposed to grade things on this.
Yes, sir.
I would have, if you had explained this to me, I would have said, obviously this is going to be a 1. I don't know why, but it's a 3.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I think, and I don't know if you did this on purpose or if it just worked out that way, but it kind of tacked into like a little bit of my Graham Hancock and my Ancient Alien thing.
Yes, it did.
Because just the sheer, and I can appreciate just the sheer force of will that went to someone, because someone wrote this. It's if you watch, and here's the thing: I could do a Lasagna Cat about this one, where I'm breaking it down because there are certain times where he fumbles words, and I found myself looking at my screen, being like, "Yeah, that was a mistake. He's not reading it right. He's not reading it right." But they can't do it again. I was looking for cuts. I was looking for like little places where
oh my god.
I went almost a little bit crazy. It might be because it was 1:30 in the morning, and I had just gotten done looking for little Korok people for the past 2 hours.
You're a little delirious, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things.
The reason I wanted to give it to you like right now,
because you hate me.
It was because I wanted to give you a 1-2 punch of the absurdity that I enjoy. We had Karate Robo Zabogar,
yes,
and then we had Lasagna Cat.
That was a 1.
And I want to say, you are such a trooper for putting up with both of these things.
Yes.
I knew that both of these things were going to push you as hard as I can. This is probably the most I could push you in these directions. Yeah, and I was just like,
"This is it."
Yeah, I had to rubber band you. I had to pull you in both directions.
This is it.
Yeah,
like I'm definitely.
And it's amazing that it's a 1 and a 3.
I have no idea why this resonates with me. And like I've said this for other things that we've talked about. If this isn't for you, I get it. I super get it.
Yeah.
I could show this to people I love more than anything else on the planet, and they would try to institutionalize me.
I could show this to my brother,
Yeah.
And me and my brother, we have so much in common.
Yeah.
He will not understand this.
Yeah.
I
could show this to my sister, and she'd probably yell at me
for
having made her watch this.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I can appreciate, and like I said, I don't think it's super funny, but just the fact that this exists on the internet, the fact that 3.5 million people have watched this over the past 6 years since it's been out,
and
is fascinating to me that this sort of thing and I give a lot of quote unquote like modern art shit where it's just like I'm gonna duct tape a banana to a side of the wall and that's art.
Oh, I love that stuff.
I fucking hate it, and I make fun of it a lot, and I think it deserves to be ridiculed. And then there are some people that
call that critique.
Yeah, I call it ridicule. There are some people that think, "Oh, that's the art. Is I made art to be ridiculed because inspiring hatred is another form." And fuck you, I don't care.
It shouldn't inspire hatred.
But some people say like
this is another conversation.
Getting a reaction out of people is part of the art in itself.
Yes,
it's not just the product.
I can see that. Yes,
you're going for a different reaction. This is someone lost their mind a little bit. Wrote this
and committed.
Paid Drew Barrymore's brother to read it, animated all the shit in the background because there's a lot of like graphics and breakdowns.
And this is commitment to the bit, to the core,
which I've told you time and time again is my favorite thing. I think that was one of my things I didn't like about Karate Robo Zabogar, and like I talked about, is because it's in Japanese and I can't get the nuance and I can't get anything like this.
I can understand.
If I was reading this and it was a dude speaking Finnish to me,
oh my god,
I would hate it. I would just be like, this is the most boring, stupid thing ever.
I think you just made it 10 times better for me.
Go watch it in Finnish. I don't care. But this actor doing it and the way he does it, and he's so convincing, and he seems like a Graham Hancock.
He looks like
Giorgio Tsoukalos type guy.
Yes, he looks like he is very learned.
Fucking Peter O'Toole's character in Phantoms, like that type of person.
Yes, Yes,
Fucking
exactly that.
loved it. I would never have watched this. I would never have sat
amazing.
down and watched
See?
it all.
Yeah.
Had it not been for this podcast.
I'm so happy.
This falls into the From Dusk Till Dawn range of if I had known what it was going into it,
Yeah.
I would have hated it.
Damn.
Because like From Dusk Till Dawn, I don't know if I told you this. I had no idea there were vampires in the movie.
Wow.
One of my roommates from college was like, "Oh, you've never seen this before?" I was like, "No." And we started watching it, and fucking vampires halfway through, and you're just like, what the shit's happening now?
Yeah, that's true.
I had no idea.
Goes from a crime movie.
I thought it was just a heist movie.
Yeah.
So this is that sort of thing. The less you know going into it,
Yep.
which I guess I kind of spoiled for someone, but I guarantee I cannot do this. I cannot. There's no way
You
spoil
can
this.
watch it now, and you can still be like,
It's an
wow.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Lasagna Cat, again, that specific episode is July 27th, 1978.
Yep.
Yeah. And at one point, fucking weird thing, when I was listening to it the third time, and they're going through like the dates, and he sees like the strip from the future.
Yeah.
And the guy says, and that's July 12th. And I'm like, that's my birthday. And I was just like, how fucking deep does this go? Like I got a little bit like
so
I got a little bit of goosebumps,
funny.
and I was just like, "Ooh,
Yeah.
shit!"
That's
Garfield
Graham
did it.
Hancock stuff
Yeah,
for you
oh my
right
God.
there.
I loved it. This was
So
perfect.
great.
I can't believe it worked, but
I'm
it
so
fucking
happy.
did.
Me too.
Yeah. So 2 threes.
2 threes.
I'll fucking take a 2-3.
That was great.
So I
That's wonderful, man. I'm so happy.
I usually have like notes, and I have like a point that I want to make.
Yeah.
And I have a couple jokes pre-written that I want to find a way to shoehorn in and make them seem off the cuff.
Yeah.
Doesn't always work, but when they land, they land. I had nothing for this, and I was like, yeah, it's just fucking,
Yeah.
it's
yeah.
something else. It
Modern
exists
art.
as a piece of
It's
content,
it's modern art. That's
it's
exactly
a
what it
fucking
is,
banana duct tape to the side of the internet.
and it's beautiful.
Deal
It's
with it, fucker.
Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
It's
All right.
one of the most beautiful things the internet has ever created.
July 27th, 1978, Lasagna Cat, YouTube, fucking watch it.
And one.
And One, Untold, The Rise and Fall of And One on Netflix.
Watch that.
2 threes. All right. So if you want to send us your recommendation or your thoughts about Garfield, email them to us at upyouralleypod@gmail.com. That's the best way to get in touch with us. Follow us on Instagram at upyouralleypod. Subscribe to the YouTube, Up Your Alley Pod on YouTube as well. Make sure you leave a review, rate, subscribe, tell your friends about it, and we really do appreciate people that are telling people.
Yeah.
Numbers are going up. We got some international listeners.
I know. That was such a cool thing to see.
Yeah,
Thanks, you
it's not too
guys. I hope you're enjoying it.
Yeah. So let's figure out what we're going to be talking about next week.
Yes,
Jacob,
sir.
what do you have for me?
We talked about it just a second last week,
Okay.
and it is Built to Spill.
Okay.
All right. Specifically, the one album. There's nothing.
Built to Spill is a band. by
Yes,
the way.
Built to Spill.
Yeah.
Built to Spill.
Spill.
The album. There's nothing wrong with love.
Okay. And that's on Spotify?
Yes, that's on Spotify.
Okay. Built to Spill is the band. Album is There's Nothing Wrong with Love. It's a 1993 album
Yes, sir. And
by
it's-
Ultimate Alternative Waivers Built to Spill.
Yes, sir.
All right. Fucking listen to it.
Yeah.
So that's nice that you have an album for me. With something we talked about briefly before the show.
Yeah.
That we're both like, I don't know if you've picked up on this, dear listener. We're going to be playing Zelda a lot, and so I was like, told Jake, I was like, my thing for you is 20 minutes long.
Yeah.
And Jake said, my thing for you is something you can listen to in the car. And I was like, fucking fantastic.
We did it right this time.
So you giving me some good music. I'm giving you something that I'm trying to find a way in with you, because I think one of the biggest pop culture tempoles that we differ on the most is Star Wars.
Okay.
My
yes.
love of Star Wars and your take or leave Star Wars.
Yes. I do not see it as culturally impactful as people would like to believe.
Great. What I love about Star Wars is that everyone can take away their own, and it means something different to everyone else. So on Disney Plus, they just released the second season on Star Wars Day, May the 4th of this year, an anthology series called Star Wars Visions.
Okay.
It's basically Star Wars The Animatrix.
Yeah.
So they give different
One
animation
episode.
houses to come up with your own story, do whatever you want. Sometimes it looks, like the Final Fantasy movies. Sometimes it looks like fucking Wallace and Gromit. It depends
Cool.
on whatever they want to do.
I would love a claymation Star Wars.
There is on this. But
That's
the
beautiful.
one I want you to watch in particular is on the second season. It's episode 5 of the second season. It was done by Studio Mir, which is a Korean animation house, and it is episode 5. It's called Journey to the Dark Head.
Okay.
And I think it's just a really great story. The animation is fantastic. Studio Mirror, for people that don't know, they did their biggest thing was they did Legends of Korra. That's the animation house that did that, and they also did a recent.
I've never seen it, but I know people really like it.
Yeah, and they did a recent Mortal Kombat animated movie called Scorpion's Revenge, which was pretty solid.
I heard it was good.
Yeah, it was good.
Damn it, I've been falling off my Mortal Kombat. For some reason, that is...
almost recommended that Scorpion's Revenge.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
For some reason, Mortal Kombat is like the thing I know the most lore about.
Nice.
Like, oh, that's almost my Star Wars.
Yeah, well, I was clicking on like Studio Mirror and it'd be like what else they've done. And I was just like, oh, they did that Scorpion's Revenge. And I was like, oh, I'm going to sit and watch that now.
Yeah.
This is one that since I saw it shortly after it came out on May 4th, it's been in my notes app for things to recommend to you.
Cool.
So yeah, Journey to Dark Head, and I think you'll probably bounce around and see a couple other of these. And again, they're self-contained things. And I just think if I had to pick one for you to like, the idea of expanded Star Wars stuff and how Star Wars doesn't have to just be the movies, and now the movies and the games. And I do understand how Star Wars can feel like a drag sometimes. Yes. Like, I wasn't super stoked watching all the new episodes of The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Andor's still fucking amazing.
Game of Thrones having 6 movies you need to watch, as well as 2 different seasons that are involved, on top of, like, 4 different spin-off books.
Yeah.
And 2 games.
And a couple comic series that are also running parallel to it. Yeah, I understand. That's what I like about...
overwhelming and unbelievable. People are like, this is... great.
Which is why I recommend this. Journey to the Dark Head. Studio Mirror's the company. It's on Disney Plus. Star Wars Visions is the show, and it's just because I can't make Jake sit down and watch Andor so we can talk about Andor.
You brought up Mortal Kombat. They're about to restart the timeline. Just letting you know, Ed Boon said he posted a clock that jumped from 11 right to 1, which he's saying, we're restarting the timeline, guys.
Neat. You remember when they made that last movie that we saw?
That was great. You know they're making the sequel?
I know. You know when they didn't do a tournament? And it was all about the tournament, and we got to watch out for the tournament, and there's this big tournament, and there was no tournament.
Are you complaining about that movie?
No, that movie fucking rules. That movie was great. It was just funny.
Yeah, it was very great.
Yeah. Yeah, all right, so we're going to do that. Again, send us an email, upyouralleypod@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at upyouralleypod. Tell some friends about the show. Yeah, we really appreciate it. Thank you all for listening. And Jake, thank you for coming by and talking. I love you, brother.
I love you too, buddy.
All right, bye.
Bye.